Good evening. I'll now call the City of Cannon Falls City Council meeting for Tuesday, December 4th to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Abity.
Here.
Altoff.
Here.
Carpenter. Duncan.
Here.
Lundell.
Here.
Mattson.
Here.
And Mayor Robinson.
Yep, I see we've got a few of our Civicus class folks here doing homework tonight. It's good to see you guys, so hopefully you learned something. We'll try. All please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome everybody to our city council this evening. At this time, the chair will take a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Bill, second by Ken. Any discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Moves us on to public input this evening. Citizens may speak to items not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the minutes. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Comments must be pertinent to city business and adhere to data privacy rules. No employees' names may be used, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. Is there anybody wishing to address us under public input? If not, we will move on to the consent agenda. Items of this area of the agenda may be adopted or they may be removed and placed on the business area of the agenda for discussion purposes before approving. For the folks at home, I will read the consent agenda. Item A is adjusting correct claims for the accounting period ending November the 29th, 2018. Item B is meeting minutes for the November the 13th, 2018 City Council meeting. Item C are the meeting minutes for the November 20th, 2018 City Council meeting. Item D, Resolution 2399, designating polling places for 2019. Item E, hire an unscheduled part-time EMT employee. Item F, introduction and first reading of Ordinance 362, amending Chapter 94 of the Cannon Falls City Code concerning dog regulation and licenses. And item G, introduction and first reading of Ordinance 363, amending Chapter 96 of the Cannon Falls City Code concerning parks. Are there any items anybody wishes to move?
Just a comment on E, employees. He said employee. I think there's 3 employees,
Yes, there are.
plural.
Yeah, that says plural.
Yep.
I'd like to bring down F.
F. Item 6F will become item 7B, which is the Ordinance 362. Concerning dogs. Any other items? If not, Chair will take a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item 6F, which becomes council business 7B.
So move.
Second.
A motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Moves us on to Resolution 2400, which is item 7A in council business, adopting the 2019 tax levy and budget. Linnell?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and City Council, tonight is the night that was designated by the City Council back in September when we adopted the preliminary budget to hold our public input portion of the meeting, in which we allow the public to comment on the proposed 2019 taxes and levy. We are required by law to hold this public meeting and to allow the public input to happen, or to give them the opportunity to speak with regard to that. I do want to remind the council and the public that this is not the meeting in which we would discuss the valuations set by the county for the property. That is a separate meeting that is done in the spring. Tonight, we're just talking about the proposed budget and the tax levy that has been discussed. With that in mind, just a little information. The City Council directed staff to prepare a budget for the 2019 budget year. We have done that. We've worked over the last several months preparing that budget. The City Council then held several budget work sessions in which the budget was reviewed. At the last budget work session, the council directed staff to bring forth the budget and levy that you have before you this evening. What that, let's see, got to find the right. What is being proposed is a levy, overall levy of $2,932,745. That is the budget that would be required for the general fund and the levy impacted funds, which is the library fund, the fire department fund, and the community development director or EDA fund. The bond levy is also part of that. We didn't have any leeway. We are required by law to meet those debt obligations. We did see an increase in the bond levy for 2019 as a result from the 2 bond issues that were done in 2018, one of which was for the 2018 East Side 2 Street Improvement Project, and the other was for the purchase of a fire department vehicle. So with that, I don't really have anything more prepared. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. Otherwise, we can open it up to the public, allow public comment at this time. It's up to you, Mr. Mayor.
Any staff have any, or any council members have any comments? I know we voted on it. There was a lot of hard work going into this. There's areas there that, you know, our hands were tied. But staff did a good job of putting it together, making cuts where they could to try to keep it as minimal as possible. So at this time, if there's nobody from the council that wants to speak, if there are any citizens that would like to discuss the budget, feel free to come forward. Is there anybody who wishes to speak about the budget? If not, the chair will take a motion to adopt resolution 2400 adopting the 2019 tax levy and budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ken, second by Bill. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Budget's passed. All right, that moves us on to item 7B, which is the introduction and first reading of ordinance 362, amending chapter 94 of the Cannon Falls City Code concerning dog regulation and licenses. And Bill, you brought that down?
Yeah, and I talked with Chief McCormick earlier this afternoon. I see they are going to change in this process, change the number of dogs permitted from 2 to 3. I love dogs, but my personal opinion is 2 should be sufficient in the city. I don't agree with 3. And Jeff, I would like you to just maybe go through this a little bit, because there's a lot of changes in this ordinance change.
Sure. So if we separate the number of dogs from the other sections of the change, the police commission met. If you recall, we had someone who came to council, spoke during the open input session regarding a house that they were hoping to purchase, wanted to know if the city would consider increasing the number of dogs. This was apparently something that the city administrator, Ron Johnson, had already started researching on. With his departure, it was brought over into the police commission. The police commission met in September and considered different components to the current city code. So we considered the number of dogs, and then we also considered the requirement for a dog license. And out of those discussions, the recommendation from the police commission was to increase the number of dogs to 3 for single-family residents, keep it at 2 for multi-dwelling structures. And then the other thing that they discussed was the licensing. And what we talked about was, historically, that number is held between 35 to 40 licenses issued. I haven't done a dog survey, but I believe that those are very low numbers compared to the number of dogs we have. And with that, To me, it seemed that we were wasting a lot of city efforts on something that the residents are not complying with. And rather than, going out and doing sting operations on unlicensed dogs, it seemed to me to be a better direction to just abolish the licensing requirement. You may have saw in the Tribune about a week ago, other cities are also going that direction. And so what we looked at was abolishing that, but requiring that they have their rabies, they have tags on the collars of the dogs. And so this ordinance goes through and sort of makes all those changes. So there's a significant number of changes that are related to the licensing component. The maximum number really comes into play in the 9402 section. I also found reference within a zoning section that's been brought to Sam's attention because that section actually has it at 3 animals. So what we're going to do is, depending upon what direction council goes, we will look to, should be bringing that forward to the planning commission and making sure that everything matches in totality across our code.
Now, one of the things, if I recall, that you researched was the limits imposed upon the number of dogs within city limits in other like-sized communities. Can you share some of those? I remember.
Yes, that research was done by
Right, but it was passed
Administrator
to you,
Johnson.
so-
And I printed out the stuff, but I did not print out those.
Right.
But they really varied. There were cities that were at 2, cities with at 3. There were some that had no regulation on them. If I recall right, I think there was 1 or 2.
Yep.
But it seemed to me the consensus was 3 in all the surrounding neighborhoods.
Yep.
And that was what comforted us at the idea of, there was always a little bit of heartburn about going from
Right.
2 to 3, but if the majority of like-sized communities are finding that manageable,
Yep.
then we thought we could probably find it manageable.
Now, as you
well.
saw noted in the memo, I did hear from one resident who called me, concerned
I got that
not
concern.
all residents are responsible dog owners, to which I probably would agree. However, I think the majority are. And I did advise that residents to please reach out to the council members as well, and I provided, the means of how to do that. I don't know if that was done or not.
She called me.
Okay.
I don't
I had
know.
two, I had 2 calls.
Okay, and I encouraged her, if there are other people that had concerns, to reach out, because I know the council really likes to hear directly from residents rather than, just messages conveyed by staff, because you can get a bit of an idea of what their real concerns are.
So another question would be, okay, if we're not going to license, but we want them to have collars and tags, how is that going to be enforced?
It would be pretty much on the same basis that it is now, which is when we pick up an animal or we get a report of a stray, if it's on the registered, one of the 35 to 40, we can look at a roster and know who it is, and then we try to go to the resident, see if we can make contact. Saves us the trip to taking them out to impound them with the veterinary clinic that does that service for the city. The license part, if they're not licensed, then again, we look at what's on the animal. If it's a rabies tag, we'll contact the vet's office if it's during, normal hours, and try to track down who the owner is. We occasionally get animals that aren't within the city. They live out in a township, but their animal ends up in town, and some of those we track down through the vet's offices. Otherwise, what happens is the animal goes out to impound at the vet's facility. Then if it's picked up, that information is sent back to City Hall. After they get done processing their side of it, it comes over to us, and then the officer looks at it, contacts the person, tries to determine what the reason was. Sometimes we have animals that escape, for lack of a better term. They go to a door opens, outruns the pet, and it won't come back. Other ones have slipped the collar, and some just straight away.
Well, the question was about enforcement, though, not
Yep,
how
and
the dog
that's what I'm
becomes
going to get to,
stray. Okay.
is in those situations, the officers have the discretion to determine if they're going to issue a citation or not.
Okay.
And so depending upon the facts, they try to sort out, is it a repeat guest at our veterinary clinic? Is it a first time, guest, that type of thing?
Can the owner show that they possess a tag? For example, if you slip a collar, then the owner's still going to have that tag. So I imagine
Yeah,
that
and
would
then
be
we
part
can
of it.
compare them against the list that City Hall maintains.
And if they don't have some sort of tag, are we just going to give them a warning and say, hey, we'll check back in 10 days, make sure you've got.
We do that on the dog bites. On the, if they get impounded, they're supposed to obtain the tag as part of the process to get them out.
Question. You have name, address, and telephone number on the tag right now. So people move, but they don't often change their phone number anymore. So I don't really want to get a new tag every time I move. Can it just be name and phone
Because
number?
we followed the state statutes. If
State
you look
statutes require that you have
Yep.
to put an address on? Really?
Yep. If you look at,
I'm in violation of that.
I didn't print my
Lawless.
commented section, but what I sent to the city attorney, it cited the statute, because that requires those things as a minimum. So that's why we set ours as at the same thing.
Okay.
I researched it,
Was it thought?
tried to be thorough.
Well, and I'm glad you were able to explain that. I brought it down just because I personally believe two is sufficient, but that, of course, is up to my colleagues here.
And yes, as we talked, you know, the police commission made the recommendation for 3. Originally, I at least had looked at, you know, would it be something we would do with the limit being 2, but put in place sort of a conditional use administrative section that would allow it to go to 3, depending upon, you know, the components of it. Do they have fence? Do they have, you know, what structures in place to keep it from going
Right,
large?
and talking with you, I remember you were telling me that, and I thought that was actually a kind of a good way of going about it.
But the commission felt that just going to, you know, as, you know, interim administrator pointed out, cities around us seem to have 3 was a majority number, and so they felt comfortable just making it simple and saying 3 was the number.
At some point, you're running the risk of trying to legislate good behavior for people, and it is what it is. I wanted to compliment you. The work of rewriting statutes and discovering how the interrelationship of various code provisions work together and making sure that they all marry up in a seamless way is not an easy job. And I thought this was very well done.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I did the majority of the work. Of course, we always have it reviewed by the city attorney, but I sort of take the position of, you already pay me. So when I can do that work, I try to save the city the cost of having the attorney draft them.
Well done.
And the park board worked with Jeff and also the city attorney to make sure that what rules we were putting in place was going to mesh well, so we didn't have any problems there.
And that was the ordinance that passed under consent.
consent.
The next reading, you'll also see coming with that will be the rules referenced, resolution regarding those. So if we end up pulling that second reading, we need to pull that rule as well. We don't want to pass one thing without the other.
Very good.
If not, any further discussion? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ken, second by Cedar. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-1. That moves us on to reports. Mr. Maroney.
Just report to the council, we talked about the 5th annual Feast food celebration in Rochester last weekend, Friday and Saturday. We did have 4 businesses from Cannon Falls attending. I was there Friday, Diane Howard was there on Saturday. Had really good attendance on Saturday, public participation coming in to visit all the food vendors on Saturday. Friday was more a day just for vendors and buyers, which I attended, and there was pretty good attendance on that as well. So we were pleased with the participation, the outcome of this year's 5th annual Feast presentation. We hear there's going to be a 6th. Also, just for information, this Saturday from 9 until 2 at Artisan Plaza will be the first winter farmers market held in the meeting room space at Artisan Plaza. There's been strong interest and emphasis by our local food businesses as well as Artisan Plaza to try something in the winter markets. We'll see how it goes, and assuming it's going to be successful, that there will be additional events coming up throughout the course of the year. So another opportunity to get out and enjoy winter inside.
What time was that?
9 until 2. That's all I have.
I just want to thank everybody for the Deck the Falls turnout we had. I think it was well attended. The parade went well. Tree lighting went really good. We had a good city staff turnout and a good chamber turnout for that. So I thank everybody for their help with that.
I'd just like to say, I just got back in town today, and good job cleaning the streets after the first snowfall.
Yeah, that was I We did get a few complaints on that. It's tough when we have that much water in with that, and then the traffic in town doesn't help. They pack the roads down pretty good. So one of the council members brought it up tonight, and we took a few complaints too. We don't run cutting edges on our plows, so they will harm our roads if we would do something like that. So we need sunshine and our salt to do stuff, and we haven't had that since the snow. So eventually they'll clear up a little bit better. But that was a fun event.
I asked a question on the Public Works Commission. You got down Thursday, December 11th. Does that be the 13th? 13th?
Yeah,
13th?
it's an error. It should be next Tuesday.
Right, it's the
Oh, it
11th.
should be Tuesday, the 11th?
Yeah, it's on the 11th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just going to give you an update about what's going on at the library. Tomorrow and the 5th, and then on the 19th, we are going to have our tail wagon tutor for elementary school students, and I believe younger kids can read to a therapy dog. It is at 3:30. I looked at the schedule before coming over, and we do still have some openings tomorrow, so please call the library to sign up if you want your child to read to a dog. And of course, we have books that your child can read, but the dog's owner does prefer that the books be chosen before your scheduled time because it's like a 15 to 20-minute time slot, and you want as much time with the dog as possible. So have the books chosen first, but we have a lot, so just come early. And then we have on Thursday, we have a very cool program. A local author who lives in Stillwater, Spike Carlson, is going to come and do a talk about about his latest book that was just released, Building Unique and Useful Kids Furniture. And he's also going to build a piece of kids' furniture while he's talking. I've had him before. He's really cool. Then we raffle off the piece of furniture at the end of the program, so somebody gets to go home with it. So if you happen to know of any kids who might want a piece of furniture, come to the program. You might get something for free. Plus, he's pretty cool. So that is going to be at 6 o'clock this Thursday. This month for our Fit Fridays, we're doing Tai Chi at noon every Friday. I do have waivers that people have to fill out. We have somebody coming in and teaching it. And so far, I've gotten some pretty good interest. I think it'll be pretty cool. It's supposed to be very easy on the body and supposed to be good for all fitness levels. And that's kind of the goal with these Fit Fridays, for all fitness levels. So please come, try it out. Just make it early so you can sign your waiver. On Wednesday at 1 p.m., we have Mark Moran coming back. He's our antiques appraisal guy who's been on Antiques Roadshow. And we do still have some openings in our third hour now. So if you have a single antique that you would like to have appraised, please call the library and book your spot, kind of ASAP. And then it's pretty cool. We're hoping that Mike Gesme is going to come and record it again so that it can also be on TV. Next week, on Thursday the 13th, we have Polar Express story time at 10:30 with Miss Cindy at the fireplace. And then at 5:30, I'm going to teach people how to make some magnets and coasters with alcohol ink. So, Christmas presents, So that is for ages 12 and up because it's kind of messy. The ink stains. I don't want kids getting stained. So ages 12 and up, and registration is required. So please, again, call and register. And then next Friday the 14th, we have teen night, finger knitting. You can finger knit a Santa hat. It's pretty cool. And that's kind of it until the 27th. And we're having a children's movie marathon. We're going to show Olaf's Adventure and then Incredibles and Incredibles 2. So we kind of thought that would be a fun thing to do. You can come watch all movies or just one of them. But we do expect parents to be with their children. So that's all I've got.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jeff?
So, Deck the Falls I was kind of expecting Kyle to get up and talk about how successful that was. Everything went very, very smoothly for us. I don't know if the same held true for the chamber. But as usual, I get to see about the first 2 units and then, not many after that. Although the limboing Santa was big enough for me to see from the city parking lot, so that was kind of cute. This week we have Triad on Wednesday at 10 a.m. The topic is going to be hacks, scams, and more. This time of year, there's a lot of all of the above in the news, and we want to make sure that our residents are aware of some of the things that they can do. And then Thursday, we have Coffee, Cops, and Conversation at 10:30 at the bakery. And that'll take us into the next one, and then I'll be talking about safety driving while people are traveling for the holidays. That's all I have.
The only thing I had was to point out what John already did, is that there was an error on the agenda as it was mailed out regarding the date for the Public Works Commission. The actual date is Tuesday, December 11th, not Thursday as shown.
I have nothing.
I was at a neighborhood gathering this week, or this past weekend, and 2 things. One, I had so many compliments on the snowflakes this year. Last year at the same gathering, I think, was when a lot was brought up about why do we have cool lights on some things and warm lights on other things, and that looks janky, and we should get better stuff. And I really like the alternating wreaths and snowflakes, and in case you guys don't know this, that was like a budget-friendly option because we retained the wreaths that remained good enough, but got rid of the ones that were beaten up and alternated them with the snowflakes. I just think it turned out great, like better than I thought it would. So, well done. Another thing that came up, though, was at the top of Park Street, headed up to your house, is a minimum maintenance road. What does a minimum maintenance road mean?
It mostly takes the liability off of us for the condition of the road.
Okay.
It's kind of I don't want to say enter at your own risk, but it means it's not usually a priority to plow. It's not a high priority for maintenance.
Yep.
So there can be gaps in the surfaces. It could be different surfaces.
Yep.
We just don't guarantee it to our normal city standards.
Sure.
Jeff, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. The discussion center around, previously that would get closed in the wintertime, open in the summertime. It was getting to the point where there was going to be the need of some repair, that type of stuff, to keep it in, normal standing. By declaring it a minimum maintenance road, it essentially relieves the city of any liability should somebody go down it. Their wheel falls off because it's rough. They lose control, go over the edge, that type of stuff. So there's a statutory designation for that declares those sort of components for a government entity that maintains the roadway.
Okay, I walk my dog up there just about every weekend, and this is the first year that it has been plowed, like as fast as all the other city streets have been. Interesting. I didn't know if its designation had changed, that's all. But okay, thanks so much.
Well, that's kind of my road. We always closed it in the wintertime, but I felt that it didn't have to be closed all winter. So I think it was Tom and I decided to put up that sign, minimum maintenance, so relieve the liability there.
Yeah, there was council action that got us to that point.
And if we can't, I mean, it's one of those, if we get an ice storm or something like that, and we can't, because it's shaded, so our salt doesn't activate like it would in other roads, so we would gate it off if we can't. If we don't think it's safe enough to travel, we will shut the gates on.
I'm not questioning why it was designated minimum maintenance. I'm questioning whether that designation changed because it's no longer being maintained as minimally as it has in the past. That was my only point. But thank you, guys.
I'm unaware of any change in that. But if I could, Mayor, realize I stated the wrong Wednesday. Triad will be next Wednesday, not this week. I want to make sure we don't have people show up waiting for it and nobody's there. Thank you.
That'll be the 12th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No planning commission this month, but I just wanted to comment on Deck the Falls. I thought Kyle and her staff put together a great show. That was a good parade. We had a good crowd at the drawing and the lighting of the tree. I thought that was a great day. It went real well.
Have you thawed out yet?
Huh?
Have you thawed out yet?
I froze there at the drawing, but I thawed out. So another thing I was going to bring up, have we received anything from the Historical Society for that house we bought next door at all yet? Any payments at all?
I'm trying to think back. I think we may have gotten something a while back, but we have not received anything
I
recently.
did get a call from Steve Dablo, who was there representing the Historical Society, and he said there will be some payments coming, and they're gonna have some fundraisers this winter, so they're gonna try to take care of that debt, so just FYI.
Nothing for me.
Ken?
Nothing.
Marcy?
I just, when they were talking about downtown, the lights and that, which I think is great. Now, almost every day, are you guys out at the intersections trying to fix the,
Yeah, we've got a short issue going on
Oh,
the south intersection right now. So there's actually a strand out right now that's been blowing fuses. So we've been out there a few times trying
with the
to
wind
fix
and that,
that.
it's hard on them.
Yeah, it'll pull the cords apart and does some fun stuff to that intersection for some reason. So yeah, that one's causing some problems this year.
Okay.
So it's usually a
No, I mean,
5
you're
or 10
doing
minute
right.
deal to try to put a fuse in or fix something. But and we have, if you've noticed too, we had to flip the snowflakes. We had them facing street side. So if you notice now, they're flipped to the other side of the poles because we've had 5 of them get hit by vehicles. We're assuming vehicles. I think it's probably a taller enclosed trailer. So we noticed in Northfield they have very similar snowflake, and on streets where there's a couple of our poles that sit back on the sidewalks, but some of them are right on the edge, and so those we had to flip them because we've been bending them back and trying to save them. We haven't any total damage yet, but we've had to fix a few. So, but now we've flipped them that should eliminate the problem. So, yeah.
One thing I've got tonight, the Personnel Committee, we had a meeting and we were talking about, if you notice, Mr. Maroney is still at the other side of the room tonight. We're still working on the contract and it will be available on the 18th for the council to approve the final contract. So that's going to be done. Did all our civic folks, our students, did you get anything tonight? Think you can write your report now?
Check with your parents.
Okay. Well, anytime you guys want to come, always come to a meeting. We're always here. So thanks for coming. And at this time, the chair will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.